Congratulations, you've stumbled upon a must. Fans say this film heals the soul of every. It's none other than The Hedgehog's. With no hope in sight, the girl decides to take her life on her next birthday. She considered, but the thought of and the pain that might come made her question the point. If death means suffering too, then what's the point of dying? So she chooses pills weighing only 40 gin 20 kilograms. She estimates she'll need to steal at least each pill she grinds into and stores them in a small bottle. That was her birthday gift to her, but her death must not be meaningless, she decides. So she begins recording her reasons for wanting. To others, she's just a rich little princess. But Paloma harbors a secret. Her mother suffers from depression. On the surface, she seems calm and collected, but her mind is a total mess. She often talks to the houseplants as if Paloma's father is a driven politician, deeply immersed in political battles. He even named their cat's parliament and constitution. He thinks he's giving everything to the family, but fails to notice the mental collapse. The only seemingly who works hard to gain her desperate to stand out. She becomes increasingly anxious and guilty in the process. Growing up in such a household, Paloma sees adults as frightening creatures. One day, a neighbor suddenly. Her mom hugs her dad, crying. They mourn the neighbor with great sorrow, as if they lost a close family. But when no one's watching, her mom's grief vanishes instantly, replaced by thoughts of what to make. Paloma isn't surprised. She's seen this kind of performance too many times. At dinner, everyone gathers in the name of. They toast and laugh with enthusiasm, but underneath it all, everyone has hidden. Paloma can't read their mind, but she captures plenty with her shaky camera. Like that seemingly polite young man who secretly took off his, not caring if the smell bothered others. And the aunt who praised her mom's cooking actually disliked the taste and fed all her food to the two cats under the table. The hypocrisy of adults, it made her feel utter. She refused to go along, but growing up seemed inevitable. She struggled with herself internally and finally decided to. Truth is, not many people, but sometimes the truth brings no comfort. Small lies often help maintain superficial peace. It's not hypocrisy, just a survival skill adults learn through repeated hardship. But Paloma couldn't tolerate even this. If something was wrong, she'd call it out right away. No mercy. At a dinner party, a man pompously claimed that Go was invented by the Japanese and she couldn't take it anymore. She interrupted him and corrected him on the spot. Speaking in Japanese-sounding gibberish, likely stylized humor or mockery. Continued gibberish, unintelligible dialogue. Still gibberish, unclear language of phrasing. Likely stylistic or exaggerated continued, might be satirical or intentionally confusing. Ongoing stylized monologue, a presumed satire or character performance. Paloma couldn't understand. She spoke the truth, so why? Frustrated, the adult world is full of even glasses can't help you see. So she simply took her and quietly gazed at the stars. She swore to herself that she'd chase the stars and not waste her life like a goldfish in a bowl. The urge to die grew stronger, but then a cat came to her on its own. And from that moment, her life took. Paloma recognized it as Madame Renee. She took the cat back with a. Renee wasn't home, but she stumbled upon a book on the table. It was In Praise of Shadows, a deep dive into the aesthetics of Eastern architecture, a profound book exploring the beauty of Eastern. She couldn't believe this seemingly plain concierge had such an artistic side. From that day on, Renee became the main character. Paloma began secretly filming her every move. She looked plain and ordinary. Her demeanor wasn't remarkable. She even seemed a little. That book could have just been a prop she found somewhere. But was that really the case? Maybe she, too, had been and chose to hide behind a cold and distant facade. In her small, shabby room, she secretly nurtured another one built from thousands of books. She kept Freud, Tolstoy, Marquez, and countless other literary giants. Every day, she'd immerse herself in their, engaging in deep, soul-stirring conversations across time. Her inner world was so rich, she didn't need to, but she was deeply, because no one truly understood her. She thought she'd spend her life rich in soul, but until a new neighbor arrived and changed everything. Mr. Cook. He heard there was one particularly rich and happy family, but Renee quietly said, "All happy families are alike," but but each unhappy one is unhappy in it. She was stunned when she saw the landlord dragging him away. She rushed back home and flipped through her books and found that exact quote in Anna Karenina. It was the first time in her life she felt she had found a kindred. That brief soul connection filled her with joy and nervous. She imagined what could come, but quickly shut the thought down. They were clearly from different worlds. People of humble birth often. Renee had no idea just how extraordinary she. Like most people, she thought, even when happiness knocked on her door, she assumed it must be too good to be true, like pie falling from the sky. She never expected Mr. Ozu. Her lips curled into, but it vanished almost immediately. She longed for deeper conversation, someone who truly understood her soul, but she feared he would just pass through her quiet world, leaving behind a. So she pretended not to know how to, scribbling a clumsy thank you note. But after writing it, she felt light. Compared to vague romance, she preferred hiding in her small world, undisturbed by anyone and not disturbing. But this time, she missed Mr. Ozu. With his magnetic gentleness, he invited her to dinner in person. Just as Renee was about to decline, he added, "They probably see you as just the concierge. Everyone in this building is wealthy. No one has ever treated someone like her unrefined and unimportant." Renee was deeply moved, but also filled with anger. She didn't believe she could be, so she concluded Mr. Ozu. But years of loneliness kept piercing her already restless heart. After much hesitation, she finally decided to give, but choosing an outfit became a. She usually wore discarded clothes. She didn't own anything she truly liked. Going to a store wasn't an option. She couldn't bear the stares at her barrel-shaped, awkward body. Thankfully, a wealthy lady lent her and even took her to get a brand new hair. Renee kept her head down, not daring to look in the mirror, because she believed no matter, she would still look ugly. But in a fleeting moment, a glimpse in the mirror made her out. She had never seen herself look so elegant. All the books she had read, they became her finest aura, and with them came confidence. Still, she felt a little shy in this unfamiliar guest. She made sure no one was around, then quietly stepped out the door. The moment Mr. She trembled from head to toe. Luckily, his gentle smile eased her nerves a little, but she soon realized Mr. Ozu's world. She never imagined an artist would even make going to the bathroom an artistic experience. Renee got curious and started examining what was so unique about his toilet. The awkward moment brought a bit of embarrassment, but also broke the illusion of perfection, letting their hearts grow closer. So at dinner, when she couldn't use chopsticks properly and got food on herself, she simply shared her inner conflict. She wanted to look presentable for her first date with Mr. but didn't want to break her low-key image. After all, no one would hire a doorman who thought too highly of herself. Because you see my ghost. Because you see me as I am. Ordinary people don't get asked to dinner. But you saw more than just the surface. For the first time, Renee felt she was treated. She finally let her heart speak freely. As she was about to leave, she noticed a painting. She instantly recognized it from a film. Turns out they even had similar taste in movies. Naturally, they agreed to watch one together. Neither of them spoke of love, but love was already quietly blossoming in their hearts. When bored, Paloma would stare at the fish in the tank. Their only contact with the outside world was when the only then did they get a glimpse of. Paloma understood that, and with deep despair, she gave them sleeping pills to end their pitiful lives. Since discovering Reen's secret, Paloma constantly looked for ways to get. She mimicked Renee, reading books while sucking on chocolate. But unlike biting it right away, Paloma preferred letting it slowly melt on her tongue. Renee gave it a try after hearing that. Something to steal the cocky don't seek a man. Think you stand a woman? Renee caught herself smiling and instantly tried to shoot. She didn't want to ruin the cold image she had built. But this time, Paloma saw right through her. Years of pretending were suddenly exposed, and so when Paloma wanted to interview her, Renee faced the camera and kept belittling herself. Budget-led. Glass wheat. She is a nobody. Sartimatan Ravaya. Shal. Nanda Mamat A. Zui Ba Fe Dikudi. The Dratipov. Is Cardos Initiant. Reserve I can call my tobacco. Commercial Arma Mobla. Kuaka Turopuli. On Mempa. Mia Metriato. Mimbasco. Zuko Hasopper. Perfitma. With these fake personas, Renee wrapped herself in sharp cools like a hedgehog. But true elegance always finds a way to shine through. Paloma never thought he could truly fall for someone before dying. He finally discovered what made, but that small spark wasn't enough to erase his longing for death. Renee, of course, she was completely immersed in her dates with Mr. Ozu. No words were needed. While looking at Renee realized that Mr. Ozu's wife had, but to him, true death wasn't the body perishing. It was being forgotten. No one ever cared about someone she lived, but felt like a walking corpse. But Mr. Ozu, he called out Reen's name boldly, as if to say, I've engraved you in my heart, you're not alone. Wow. Incredible. But you're so cool. So they didn't see the real you, Renee. But the whole moment felt she couldn't understand why someone like Mr. Ozu, so noble and refined, would fall for her. So when he invited her for dinner again, she turned him away at the door. Even though it was her birthday, Paloma couldn't help but ask why. Renee didn't know either. Pride and insecurity battled within her. She longed to be understood and loved, but felt she wasn't worthy. Maybe being ignored and ridiculed was where she felt safest. She broke down in front of Paloma, revealing her vulnerability for the first. Paloma, ignoring her, gave her a warm heart. It was also the first time Renee showed kindness to. After letting it, Renee slowly changed her mind. She decided to take a chance for her own future. She put on an elegant dress and styled her hair with care. Just before leaving, she noticed the goldfish swimming. She gently scooped it out. Paloma's sleeping pills had failed to kill it. Through this twist of fate, but Paloma was still secretly planning her own death. Mr. Ozu draped us. Just then, they ran into a wealth. With utmost politeness, they addressed Renee as Madam, not recognizing her as the chubby, dull concierge. How precious. Everyone only ever saw Reen's tough but Mr. Ozu had glimpsed the soft underbelly of the hedgehog through every little moment. New performance of Tummy M.N. Adis Carnival. Yes, under the night sky, Renee was no longer. The smile on her lips was unguarded, and even her footsteps grew. Not a word was spoken, but two lonely hearts had drawn closer faster than grand declarations of love felt false. Walking home together became the most romantic gesture. I gently took your hand and gave you all my tenderness. You stood quietly, peacefully accepting this. As soon as Renee received a very special gift. It was a pop-up card. Paloma, to be understood. What a wonder. The next morning, the world seemed unchanged on the outside, but Reen's heart was calmer than ever. She quietly boiled water. She calmly stepped out. By chance, she saw a homeless man. Out of kindness, she called out to warn him. Tomorrow, or an accident, who knows? The end of life often comes without warning. Her new life had only just begun, and in an instant, all her hopes vanished. Her death caused a brief stir and onlook. But most important of all, Mr. She wished they could have shared one more cup of sake. She didn't want to leave so sudden, but darkness completely consumed, and with it, her entire life. Paloma ran downstairs like mad. Today was his 12th birthday. He had planned to end his life today, but Renee had gone ahead of him. He had never truly understood what life meant, but now he had a vague idea. It was the first time he felt such grief over someone's death because he wanted Renee to live well. Why did he feel this? Maybe because in Renee, Paloma had seen a glimmer of some, and he wanted that beauty to continue and grow. He hoped the love between her and Mr. Ozu. It turns out death itself. What matters is what you were doing. If life is rotten, then death hardly matters. But if you're basking in love and warmth, then death becomes a terrible tragedy. He looked at the goldfish swimming joyfully in its little tank. Paloma smiled softly. It was like discovering a new joy. Life isn't about the size of the space as long as your heart holds. You can soar across the entire. He gave up on the idea and decided to follow Madame to build a rich inner world of his own. And then, within this worldly chaos, find someone who. It may seem like the little girl, but the true lead is the concierge Renee. The film compares Renee to a hedgehog, perhaps because hedgehogs, plain and unremarkable, living tearfully in a world of their own. But even so, with sharp insight and rich inner worlds, they see the world if you understand. If not, it doesn't matter. They can quietly live in a small corner far from the noise and drama. Loneliness does not mean giving up on unattractive perhaps, but with a kind heart. Quiet, but never arrogant. This is the elegance of the hedgehog in a restless world. Every day, countless some think about it, some long for maybe we'll never truly, but those who do also know how to take responsibility to carry the weight of even when faced with a meaningless universe, they still choose to love, still recognize the value of life, still choose to live fully. Even ordinary folks can enjoy a journey through life that, while full of sorrow, is still deeply beautiful. If you can't change the world, maybe try changing yourself. Read a book, write a poem, fall in love. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time.